So, have you ever caught yourself apologizing for like no reason? You bump into a chair and then, oh, sorry. Someone interrupts you and you're the one saying sorry. Why do we do that? And let's be real. Have you ever noticed that women seem to apologize more than men? Or that some people straight up refuse to say sorry even if they should? Yeah, that's actually a lot of reason for all of that. In our figuring it out together, we are talking about gender, politeness, and weird stereotypes around the apologies. And by the way, I'm not just gonna talk about this alone because I got some surprise for you guys. On the first one, we got Siti Aisyah.
Ta-da!
Up next, we have Shirin Nadia.
Hi, so nice to see you.
And finally, our honorable mention, we got Karil Hasif.
Yo.
Let's go. So guys, what do you guys actually think about this topic?
For me, I think this topic is pretty interesting because it shows how the difference between men and women show their politeness through their linguistic choices and how it affects the way society views them. What about Shirin?
I also think it's quite interesting because I'm more interested in the result of the research. Yeah, I think the results are quite interesting because as time goes by, the results also change.
You know what? It's interesting because men usually are not polite compared to women. So it's very interesting to know that there's a research about this that men turns out also feel the same way. But it's still not fair.
I don't think so. Can you explain more? You said that men
Are usually less polite than women.
yes.
So give your statement that supports your idea.
Oh! I feel like it's very naturally that those things happen. Like throughout times, men just very nonchalant, like they won't even apologize for the things that clearly their fault. That women need to point it out for them to just argue that they are right.
So what you're saying is men have more egos than women.
Some might say. But women usually apologize first before men because they usually think about the man's feelings or the relationship or the outcome for them to be in a good relationship, no matter whether they are friends or families or even partner. Why does that always happen, Kai?
Okay, so I think you said that to make it simple, women tends to be more emotional than men. Why? Because that is just how the brain works, how women and men psychology works, and how they are different. So you said earlier that men is usually less polite than women. I agree with that statement of yours, as there is an article that I have read before regarding that problem, and it stated that in the article, women tends to apologize more than men, and it also provides a statistical which are 69% of women and there's 31% of men when it comes to apologizing in their daily life. However, apologizing is considered as a positive politeness. Why is it considered as a positive politeness? Because when someone apologizes or when a person apologizes, it shows the quality of a person. like women, when women apologizes more, it shows that women are more considerate compared to men. But that doesn't mean that men is not considerate or are not considerate, because that's just how the psychology shows that women tends to be more submissive or in agreement of other people's statements, while men tends to be dominant, tend to show that they are always right. So that's just more to the psychology side.
So like if a man apologize, will it be considered as weakness? If someone apologize, because that's how society sees it.
It won't become a weakness if it's okay. Apologies depends on the context and the situation. If a person tends to apologize more, which is even for the smallest mistake, shows that that specific person doesn't have the confidence, while the person who apologizes less doesn't mean that the person is always right, but that means he or she always has a point to stand up for why he or she is always right. That's why they tend to apologize less, and shows that they have more confidence than those who apologizes more. So that's my point. What about Shirin?
That's an interesting point. I think that can I give my opinion? Just an additional opinion.
Yeah, sure.
Well, I think that women apologize more than men, sometimes because of maybe cultural difference or religion difference.
Yeah, it could be cultural difference. There is an example for that.
Yeah, like most of the Asian countries, like women tends to apologize more to men to show respect.
Yes.
Like how wife needs to treat their husband with loyalty and respect to show that the husband is the head of the family.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's so. The woman needs to humble herself. That's why I think that women tends to apologize a lot.
Yeah, I agree with that, because from your example, you mentioned that about the relationship between a wife and a husband, right? So it says in the article that I've read, the same article that I read, is that apologies is affected by social status, relationship, or power dynamics, which means those in the lower social status in a hierarchy are expected to respect those who are higher than them. So it's normal for a wife to apologize more to their husband, because it shows that the husband is the top of the hierarchy in a family. So what is your point now, Aisha?
You see, I agree with the hierarchy thing. However, men always overstep. Like, okay, you're the top. Okay, you're the leader of the family, but don't abuse your power. Like, okay, you are you, but for once apologize to me when you did something wrong. Don't expect me to literally lick the ground for you.
Yeah.
And this goes on for a long time, even right now. So, why are men like that?
It's not all men generally. It's more to the individualistic features, not features or characteristic alone. The man who realizes if they are wrong will apologize for their mistake, but those men with usually a high ego won't apologize because they know that their wife would be submissive towards them. So that what leads to that problem. But not all men are exactly like that, but only some men.
I agree, not all men, but most men.
Yeah, but that depends on that individual alone.
So how are women supposed to fight back when there are literally a lot of men? Not all, but a lot.
Can you be more specific, like in a relationship or what?
For example,
In my opinion, okay lah, I gave my opinion about this. You said that how the woman can fight when there are a lot of men or most of men, right? In my opinion, it would be hard for women to fight for their rights to a man or for apologizing and for their ego. I mean, a man tend to have their ego more higher than a woman. If a woman, my mistake. Men tend to rely on their people or their co-worker when they are talking to a woman. It's like when they are alone. I'm talking about most of them. Like when they are alone, they don't even have powers to fight over women. But when a woman are fighting with the man herself, she also don't have power. But if there are many women fighting only a man, on certain time the woman may be winning towards the man. But I don't know about that. I want to ask Khairil about their opinion
about that statement.
Yes.
So, okay, usually this stigma happens. The stigma of woman always right always comes when, okay, you said earlier that men often have higher ego than most women, right?
Yes.
Because that's just how it psychologically works. That's how the men's brain works. Okay, so the reason why or how men come up with the stigma of women always right is because, like I said earlier, it relates to their emotion. Yes, men have more ego. Yes, men want to win in an argument. But when women fight back their statement with their emotion involved, men tends to be more like they give a chance for the woman to win. Because men that rarely involve, or yes, there are some of them that involve emotion while in an argument, but when women tends to show their emotion first in an argument, men would always like, okay, you can win this argument because you have now involved your emotion in this argument. So unless that argument is valid or is an argument without any emotion involved, men would still fight against the woman to win. But when emotion involved into the argument, the man would let the woman win. Because when a man triggers a woman emotion into a higher level, something unexpected might happen. So in order to avoid that incident, the man would always let the woman win, and that's how the stigma of woman always right came up.
So what you're saying is that men doesn't want to be involved in women's feelings?
It's not that doesn't want to be involved. It's more that it depends on the argument. If the emotion that was shown by the woman is like an anger, the anger emotion, men can fight back, but men usually knows that when they involve their anger emotion in an argument, some of them tends to be physically like abusive. So that's why most men always just let the woman win in an argument when that woman has shown the emotion of anger into the argument.
What about the other men? The one that, okay, they just let the woman win, however, they shut them up. Like silent treatment. What about that?
Or what about like men who give silent treatment to women?
Yeah, when they want to avoid argument.
Maybe, I'm not sure if they are called nonchalant.
If they consider about the woman's feelings, then they shouldn't ignore their woman. They shouldn't just shut them up, being nonchalant and thinking, okay, this will
pass on.
Yeah,
Yes.
this will pass on tomorrow. It won't matter. But for the woman, it matters because it doesn't end there. They need something as confirmation. What about that?
Okay. You said that what about men that usually give silent treatment towards their woman and left their woman hanging, right? I think maybe those men are usually the types that yes, they are wrong for being nonchalant or for ignoring their partner's needs for confirmation. But it usually depends on how the individual thinks. If that man, that certain man, that specific man really cares about his partner, he will explain. Yes, he might be ghosting for some time, maybe just for the reason that he wants the situation to calm down, and until the woman can accept the point or the statement given by the man, not through emotion but through rationally. So the reason why men ghost women, some of them might be, to run away or to cut ties, but some of them might be just because they want to calm the situation down until the woman can think and accept the point made by the man rationally instead of emotionally. So it just to calm down the woman's emotion and not to ignore the woman for the rest of her life. But in case if the situation where the man ignores the woman and never explains and just left her hanging forever, that just shows that the man doesn't care or doesn't really love his partner. Because a man who truly loves his partner will always explain will never leave his partner hanging without an answer. So that's my point.
I get it. So now you are saying that it only happens to some individual, right?
Not all men would left their partner hanging.
Okay, I get that. So my question is, what about apologizing in online spaces, like in social media or in public places? Like, how do people do apologize in online spaces actually? Opinions on that?
Apologize in online spaces. How about Aisha?
Thank you, Kai. For online spaces, elaborate your question.
My question is, how do people apologize on social media? Like, is it based on gender patterns?
I think it's more to, in my case, personally, if I'm wrong, I would explain what I did wrong, and then I apologize and try to make up for it. But if I do not care about the person, I would just ignore them in social media.
I think that's all for now.
It's not fair that Kai always right.
Okay, so I guess that's all for our episode on figuring it out together. I hope we can do our podcast together again. And yeah,
It's official, I hate Kai.
so that's the end of our episode. I guess that's all of it of figuring it out.
Bye, Kai. Bye.